Hi everyone, welcome to Show and Tell time. I love going to used book sales and finding old books, especially really old ones that they look really cool on your bookshelf, and they're just kind of an interesting piece of our history in general. So it's fun. Anyway, I found some old Watchtower books over the last few years that I wanted to share, and this is the first one. So God's Kingdom of 1,000 Years has approached, and what I wanted to just show is how old these are. This is actually the newest one that I own, but there are lots of older ones too that I want to share. So this one is copyright 1973, first edition, 2 million copies. And this one reads like a wild science fiction novel. You just can't wait to get to the end and find out how evil Babylon Christendom is going to be destroyed by Jehovah. I can imagine when people first received this book, they were probably really excited to pour through it, and it's well written in that sense. It's just exciting. You can't wait to see how it's going to go and what's coming. And this one was written in 1973, so this was 2 years before the campaign Stay Alive Till 75. It doesn't mention 75 in here as far as I could find, but it definitely hints that the end is coming very, very soon. So you can see why a lot of people sold their houses and gave up everything because they expected Armageddon to be over in 1975. But of course, that didn't actually happen. So apparently, about 1 million witnesses left in 75 when that prophecy was clearly failed. So that's the newest book that I have. The next one. This is actually a very old book, but the edition that I have is a 1950 edition. So it's not as impressive, I guess, or as expensive, really. So originally published in 1889, and you can see that there, but it is a 1950 edition. So it's still a really neat find that was exciting. I didn't even know how great it was, but also lots and lots of interesting quotes in there too. So getting a little bit older, then we have the Battle of Armageddon. And this one is number 4 in the Studies in the Scriptures series. It's a 400,000 edition, and it was produced in 1915. The original was copyright 1897. So obviously this one is going to be different than the original, but still tons of interesting stuff in here, and it's actually in pretty decent shape for a book that's over 100 years old. And this one's also pretty fun too. This was, I'm guessing this was maybe someone passed away and then somebody took their collection to a used book outlet and let them be sold there. So that's, I'm impressed that they're in such amazing shape and that they were preserved so well. So this one is a 1920 copy. It's 503,000 edition, so still very old. The original one was 1904, so this one's been edited, obviously, and changed, but still almost 100 years old. And again, so many amazing quotes that I wish that Jehovah's Witnesses were allowed to read. This is from their history, but although their books are celebrated on their website, they often mention them and various things and why they're so amazing, but they're not really encouraged to read them. In fact, they could actually get disfellowship from reading it, from what I understand. So that's a real shame. And getting back to an even more interesting one, we have the Divine Plan of the Ages. And this one, unfortunately, is not in very good shape. As you can see, there's binding problems. And the saddest thing, of course, is that the first pages, which were the most interesting pages, they have been torn out at some point. So as far as I can tell, this book was probably from 1907 or 1908. But what was interesting about those pages that unfortunately aren't there is that Charles Taze Russell had kind of an obsession with the pyramids, and he had all these, he used them to create all of his false predictions. So I found a copy online of what one of the pages was that was torn out, and then and just a copy of what one of the inside covers would have looked like. And I don't know if this was the same one as this edition or not. But anyway, very interesting stuff, and it's a shame this one's not in as good a shape, but still a really neat thing to have. And finally, this one is the most exciting find because it is full of amazing quotes that Jehovah's Witnesses don't know about. Just incredible claims that were made about Charles Taze Russell, and all kinds of weird predictions and numerology and things like that in there. And it's such an interesting read. It's really hard to put down. There's so much. There's just tons and tons of quotes. And I'll post a link below of some of the quotes that you can find. What's really cool about this book is that it is an early edition. So it's got different pages in it, and I'm going to do another video to get more into it, so I just want to show you. So this one is 308,000 edition, and it is from 1917. So there was quite a revision done for the 1918 revision, and you can actually find those scanned copies online. You can read the entire thing for yourself. Really neat stuff. And most of it is identical to this book, but there are some really, really important changes, which I will get into. This book got a number of people, but most notably Joseph Rutherford, arrested and sent to prison. And in order to get out of prison, he had to have about 10 pages in this book torn out in order to be released from prison. And then they had to release a new edition with without those pages. So they changed the pages and they wrote sort of more general apocalyptic type of stuff, and they didn't talk about all the war related things that got him arrested. So so I'll get into that more in my next video, but I just wanted to share these really cool books that I found for $3 each, believe it or not, at a used book sale. You can find these online, and I would recommend, if you're interested in learning more about them, if you want to witness to witnesses, or if you yourself are a Jehovah's Witness and you want to learn more about Watchtower history, you can look on Amazon and eBay and even Craigslist and Books and those kinds of places. You can sometimes find copies of them. Sometimes there's reproductions you can get, but you can often find the originals as well. I could not find this one anywhere, though. There is newer editions that you can buy, but this particular one, I was not able to find it anywhere. So that's why I'm excited to share in my next video exactly what was so unique and interesting about this particular one. So I hope you'll tune in for the next one, and thanks for watching this video.